Good morning, everyone. Are here? So today I want to talk about a subject that to me is quiet. How could I say it? Personal, because I guess I could say that I have learned a lot through this lesson that I'm going to share with you. And I guess I could call the subject of this video bringing subconscious blocks and belief systems to the conscious mind, to the surface, so we can face them and resolve them once and for all, so they're no longer there, no longer stopping us, no longer laying there as an obstacle. And the way I want to structure this video, because I'm always thinking, how can I make it more personal, more easy to understand, so it is down to earth enough for everybody to kind of have an epiphany over it, right? So let me just bring up an example here. Because I see this quite often with people that are interested in spirituality or interested in self-improvement, even if it's not spirituality. And what I can tell you is that oftentimes what ends up happening when someone is very interested in self-improvement or spirituality is that this persona gets created of what a person is supposed to look like who is spiritual. A persona gets created around who am I supposed to be this proper person, to be this person who looks happy, or this person who looks polite, or this person who looks good to the neighbors. And even this can be subconscious, even though we are doing this quite consciously. Taking on a persona that we think fits into this image that we want to become, it can be quite conscious, like conscious choices on a daily basis. Like, how am I saying hi to my neighbor? Am I going to force a smile on my face for the neighbor? Am I going to act a certain way with some acquaintances to fit in, right? To nurture a relationship, doing small talk, things that sometimes feel like they're exhausting, because, and the reason why they're exhausting is because we are forcing it upon ourselves to kind of get by, to kind of fill in this image that we have of ourselves and how we are supposed to be, to kind of quote unquote survive, because we assume this is what we need to not lose people, to fit in. Really, that's what it's about. And the reason why I want to begin with this is because I think most people, including myself, more in the past than now, but including myself, mostly, during times when I was a little bit less conscious of who I really am under all that stuff, right? Because I can tell you that I used to have a lot of coping mechanisms, a lot of bypassing of my true emotions, kind of not faking who I was, but pretending who I was. And this even comes down to the spiritual stuff. Who are you? Who are you really? If you let go of everything that you have learned about self-improvement and spirituality, and what a spiritual, good, kind, loving person is supposed to look like, who are you underneath that, right? What is it that perhaps is festering under, that could be frustration, that could be tension, that you're not allowing to come to surface because you just you don't know why it's there, you don't know how to get rid of it, and you might as well just go on pretending like it's not there. So, and I don't know if I've made it clear enough. I may have to make another video on this, but it's important to begin looking at those suppressed tensions, anger. I don't actually care about who you think you are as a spiritual person. I really don't care about, who you think you are as a person that knows about self-improvement. What I care about is what you're truly feeling. And the reason why is because this is the only place where you can grow from. This is the only place where you can make leaps from forward. If you meet yourself where you're actually at, not the facade, not your knowledge, not your next spiritual lesson, but actually meeting yourself where you're at. This is not, and part of the reason why I sometimes don't like the whole idea of spirituality is because spirituality implies that this is something that doesn't, that is maybe true or maybe not, or spirituality is kind of mystical, so it's only for people who believe in mysticism. Here's what I can tell you, even though, some of these lessons could be, I guess, be spiritual because we talk about intuition, okay? Even people that haven't gone through a 10-year spiritual journey, often admit to the fact that they have some intuitive sense or some intuitive feeling sometimes about certain things that cannot necessarily be explained with logic, right? So I don't want to mislead anybody, not mislead, I don't want to discourage anybody from looking at this lesson that I'm talking about right now, because there are spiritual aspects to it. Because the truth is that those feelings that you have, those feelings that are sitting in you as tension, as anxiety, that are sitting there as your biggest fear, that you're suppressing, and you say hi to your neighbor, you're smiling, asking them how they are, you go into the house and your face immediately frowns, and you even know that there's something wrong here, and it's even more depressing that you feel like you have to hide it, right? That's real. That is what I want to focus on here, because this is where you can change tomorrow and become a completely brand new person, having a brand new experience of what life is. That is, once you recognize that, once you become conscious of that feeling that you're having, that you've been suppressing, that tension, that depression, that anxiety that's festering beneath your spirituality, your self-improvement exercises, your kindness meditations, whatever it is that you're brushing over it, whatever facade you have on top of it, that isn't truly real, because the reality is what you're feeling deep down, what is holding you down in that dark place that you feel like there's no way out of, that you may not even always feel, but at the end of the day, when you feel burned out, that is what's burning you out. Okay? I want you to look at that. And I want you to begin describing that. And I don't want you to describe it in a way that you are wallowing in that mud. I want you to begin feeling it. I want you to begin feeling it in a way that I want you to begin identifying what it actually feels like. Okay, this is step one. That you allow yourself to begin feeling it, and you start identifying the actual physical location of that feeling. Let's call it energy even. How does that feel inside your body? Where is it actually sitting? That's all I want you to focus on. I want you to forget about everything else. And I want you to begin focusing on that feeling, that tension, that anxiety, whatever it is, that black hole, however it feels. I want you to give it space, and I want you to give it your time. And once you begin feeling it, I want you to invite it more, and I want you to really recognize it's in my chest, it's in my arm, it's in my leg, wherever you're feeling it. I want you to begin giving it space. This is already there. This is not something new that you're inviting bad stuff in to your reality. No, this has been there maybe for 20 years, maybe for 1 year, whatever it is. It's been there, and it's sitting there kind of like an infected wound that you put a band-aid on. Okay? I want you to focus on that, because this is where you can transform. This is the space you're transforming from. This is the place where change happens. Change does not happen by you having a delightful small talk with your neighbor pretending like everything is okay, or change doesn't happen from you sitting down in tension pretending to be meditating, when the truth is that you're not even able to be present with what is, because this is what is. If there's tension, then that is what is, and that's what you're going to deal with. That's where you're going to meet yourself at. This is your spirituality. This is you. You're meeting yourself where you're at, and I'm going to tell you this right now. This is self-love. Self-love is not easing tension and going to get a manicure or a massage that you cannot even 100% enjoy, because the truth is that you're just numbing this underlying current of pain. That's not self-love, numbing what is there, not being present with what you are, not meeting where you're actually at. That is not self-love. Self-love is sitting down and finally meeting yourself where you're at, and if there's pain, if there's tension, that's where you're gonna go. And I can tell you that once you begin doing that, and once that becomes your practice, and you kind of let go of all the BS. And by BS meaning brushing over it, bypassing it, putting on a facade on top of it. That's BS. That's wasting your time. I don't care how spiritual it looks to the outside or even to you. If you're not courageous enough to go and meet yourself where you're actually at, you're not going to see the transformation. So meet yourself where you're at and begin identifying every aspect of it, and allow yourself to lead back where it's taking you. Because oftentimes, once you start doing that, you can experience change very quickly. And what ends up happening when you're truly ready to do this, and when you make it your practice, is that epiphanies start coming. You start realizing, like, oh my God, this entire time I was trying to live up to, I don't know, my mother's expectations, or my neighbor's status symbols, or my ex-husband's, however he wanted to see me, or whatever he expected from me to feel happy, which perhaps weren't good things, right? And you're going to start realizing that these subconscious belief systems that are so simple at the end of the day and so human, you have not looked at, and they've been keeping you down. And finally, when you begin leading back this anxiety, tension, whatever it is, the depression, whatever it is that you're feeling, you can go to places that you would have never gone if you're just bypassing it, or you're putting a facade on top of it. And like I said, the way you begin doing that is you begin actually meeting yourself where you're at, and you begin going towards the feelings that you're actually feeling. You begin going towards that tension, that anxiety, that depression. Where is it taking you? This is your answer. This is the direction your answer is lying. You're kind of like, I could put it, and again, I'm going to be a little spiritual here. You're going to go in the direction of our soul, what your soul is trying to get your attention to. And this is not negative thinking. Actually, in fact, it's the opposite, because what you're doing here is you're practicing self-love. You're meeting yourself and loving yourself where you're at. You're not buying yourself a pedicure and say, I'm going to love myself with spending money on a pedicure or a massage or whatever it is. You're actually meeting the crying child within yourself. That's love. Like, when your child is crying, you're not going to say, hey, let me, take you somewhere here. Yes, I'm not saying that in some scenarios that wouldn't help, but the truth is what that child needs, that crying child needs, is to be heard, to be loved, to not be resented for who he is in that moment, right? That's love. When you're present with that other human being, you hug them and you're simply there with them and you're listening and you try to figure out with them, right? This is self-love too, towards yourself, doing the exact same thing towards yourself. That is self-love. Self-love is not getting that pedicure. Self-love is finally meeting yourself where you're at, that true, raw part of you, and begin breaking it down in that direction, courageously moving in that direction, seeing where it's taking you. And sometimes I can tell you that this is uncomfortable, because the reason why we distract ourselves from these feelings through, it could be spirituality, it could be self-improvement, it could be a lot of things. We're trying to fix it, but what we're really doing is we're distracting ourselves from feeling the uncomfortable emotion. We want to make it go away. And what we're doing here is the opposite. What we're doing here is meeting ourselves where we are at and actually feeling what is trying to be heard, that has been suppressed until now. And through feeling it, identifying where in our body it is, we begin to get to know it. We begin to become aware of its parts. We begin to understand it. And I can tell you that epiphanies will come as a result. For me, because I've been practicing this for quite some time, and I think that this year, particularly in the past 4 or 5 months, I really started focusing on this practice and taking it on a new level. I've been practicing meeting myself where I'm at in this particular manner for many years, but this year I had some real major hurdles to resolve, and I really had to go towards certain uncomfortable feelings. And it's literally miraculous how something that has been kind of laying dormant, and I wasn't even quite aware of it, how quickly it can dissolve if we just go in the direction of it and we give it that space, we give it that attention, we give it that love, we give it that, and I said, you go towards this crying child and you choose to meet it where it's at, comfort it, be present with it, resolve it together. And the discomfort can sometimes feel like, oh no, I cannot feel this feeling. This is morbid. This is the biggest fear I've ever had. My mother not accepting me. My mother thinking, I will be a loser forever. Whatever it is, this is just an example out of thousands that could be there. You have to go towards that. You have to allow yourself to feel that what if. You have to break it down into layers until it kind of gets neutralized, because there's nothing more to it. There's no more fears because you've neutralized it. You've accepted it. You have accepted those worst case scenarios in a way that they can no longer have power over you. And this does not mean that the worst case scenarios will come true. It just means that your fear towards the worst case scenarios begins to neutralize, and therefore it's no longer dominating your thought or subconscious mind. This is actually making the law of attraction work for you, because the truth is the law of attraction, and again, I don't want to get too spiritual here, but the law of attraction, meaning things that come to us have something to do with our mentality, right? So things that come to us are no longer aligning with these suppressed thoughts that cause us tension every day, because now those thoughts are no longer there, because we are not fearing them, we are not obsessing over them, right? Subconsciously, consciously, doesn't matter. So the law of attraction will automatically work. You're not forcing the law of attraction. You're kind of healing things, or healing, I don't even know if I like to use that word. You are releasing certain fears, and therefore the law of attraction has no reason to, no reason, again, not the right word. The law of attraction no longer has anything to be drawn to in that direction. So once you release these fears, there's an immense amount of liberation, because you're no longer holding a fear, a tension, and you begin to become more and more free in your life. It's like literally taking these chains off that have been holding you hostage, fearing your ex, fearing your mother, fearing your father. You're putting these down and you're neutralizing these fears by accepting even those worst case scenarios and allowing yourself to go there in energy, in feelings. And I can tell you, I usually bring up this burning pepper example, like when the pepper burns. It can only burn that high and all of a sudden it starts subsiding. It's exactly like that. If you surrender to a burning pepper, a spicy pepper, it can only go to a certain height, and from that it just kind of vanishes. So it's kind of like that. That's what surrender truly is. That self-love of just, I'm gonna meet this where it's at. I'm gonna meet this feeling where it's at. I'm gonna meet the burning pepper where it's at. I'm just gonna allow it. And that's exactly what you're doing with these fears and feelings. You're just kind of like, I'm feeling it in my chest. I feel this pulsation, this energy in my chest, and I'm just gonna let it be. I'm gonna meet it where it's at. And within 10 or 20 minutes, it's going to disappear. It's going to lose its power. And this is when you transform. Those are the moments of transformation. Because you're no longer fearing. That tension disappears, and your life can change overnight if you do this. If you make this your practice, your life can become different very quickly, because some of these things we hold in for 20 years sometimes. Completely unnecessary. Okay? I'm sure I will keep making videos about this subject more and more. But please share in the comments what you think. Share in the comments about your truest, rawest feelings, even if you cannot quite identify them in detail. What are some of the things, or some of the emotions, some of the feelings that you've been bypassing, suppressing? And give this a shot. Give a shot to completely meeting it where it is. Okay? I will see you next time.